Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Louise and I'm the wife, or better half, already fibbing there, better half to Glenn, and I am mum to Adam and Emily. And together as a family, we attend Trinity Presbyterian Church in Grabby. So, rightly or wrongly, my church contacted me and asked me to share my testimony. And of course, I said yes, because I didn't really fully think what that would entail. And as I'm sitting here about my 70th outtake, I'm really starting to regret it. because I just didn't think it would be this difficult. I'm also starting to regret the fact that I didn't put more thought into my hair and makeup. But you know what you see is what you get. And anybody who knows me will know that that's pretty much true. Actually, if anybody knows me will know that if I was being true to myself, I'd be sitting here doing this in my pyjamas, because there's nothing I love more than being at home with my family, just chilling in my PJs. But be thankful it saved you from that. So back to what I'm here for, and that's to share my testimony. So I was asked to pretty much tell you about that moment in my life where I decided to make a commitment to God and become a Christian, and that's what testimony means. And to do that, I need to go back to when I was 23. I was in a really good place in my life. Actually, at that point in my life, I didn't want or need for anything. I had it all, or so I thought, in the sense of educationally, I was doing really well, got to my degree, and it was just about certain PGCE. I had a really loving and supportive family. I was in a fabulous relationship with a fantastic boyfriend at the time, who is lucky enough to be my husband. Or at least I tell him he's lucky. He doesn't necessarily believe it. Financially, I didn't have any worries, and I pretty much had it all. I was just, I didn't, as I say, I didn't want or need for anything. In fact, I was even at my target weight. And you're probably thinking this isn't important, but when you're a 23-year-old girl, you're quite vain and shallow, and so that things like that are important to them. I've obviously added a bit more upholstery since then, Age will do that to you. But I remember just I even remember at that point having all this in my life and knowing I was blessed, and yet not having any fulfillment from it. I remember actually talking to my mum about it and telling her that I know what I have. I know I'm really lucky to have all this in my life, but I just don't find any joy in it. And as the conversation went on, I sort of said to her, I think I want to know more about what it means to have a relationship with God, or be a Christian. And it wasn't something I thought I would ever do at that age. I always thought it's something I'll get to later, because with the exception of like those who I loved around me, my aunt and uncle, grandparents, and even my best friend at the time, and her family, who were our neighbours, outside of them I had a bit of a negative view of Christians, a bit boring, and I actually didn't think I would ever fit the mould of a Christian, and I didn't think I'd be welcome into that sort of environment or that sort of family. And I always just thought it was something that I'll do later. But I remember having that conversation with my mum about wanting to sort of know more or ask a couple of questions, and so we went to talk to my aunt and uncle, who I knew would help answer my questions, and not do it in a way that would make me feel stupid, for asking. And so it was true to fact. I went and spoke to them, and they were able to help me with coming to understand certain aspects. They did it in such a loving way and with such humour, that I knew leaving their house that I was going to make that commitment and ask God into my heart. And so I went to my grandparents' house that night and spoke to them, because they were also true Christian examples in my life. I spoke to them for a while about it, and that night I went into their bedroom and gave my life to God and asked Him into my heart. And I do remember that there was a calm and a peace that came upon me that night. I went to bed for the first time, I think in a long time, feeling, content and tired, and I easily went to sleep, because I knew that, I suppose a prayer had been answered. I knew that something had been answered. I wish I could tell you that it was really easy from then in, and it wasn't. Within a month I was already bored of Christianity. I was just like, I am not quite sure if this is the right decision. I'm not quite sure if I want to stick with this. In fact, I remember I didn't actually say it out loud, but I remember in my head going, I'm not quite sure if it's just me, but does everybody, when they pray, hear them having a conversation in their own voice in their head with God? Because that's what I do. I'm sure you're probably thinking I'm a wingnut, but when I do anything, I think I'm having a conversation with God. So I remember thinking in my head, like, God, I don't know if this is for me. I don't really know if you're the right choice, because within a month I was just like really questioning His whole well, not his existence, but just if we were compatible, if I was meant to be part of his kingdom, as the saying goes. And sort of really questioning his abilities and his power and just everything, because I really had no direction at that point. I really didn't know what to do with the step I had taken afterwards. And what happened was, within a month of committing myself to God and becoming a Christian, we got a call one night, and that was from the transplant unit in Belfast. My dad had been on the dialysis for 5.5 years and on the transplant list for the same length of time. And of course, we all trucked up that morning, and he was successful in getting the transplant. And I remember him going in to get prepped for the operation, and my aunt went in to speak with him and to pray with him. And I remember coming out and her putting her hands on my arms and being like, Louise, this is God testing you, you know that, and you, this is your time to fully trust and believe in him, because look at what he's done for you, you know, giving your dad this kidney, Sydney the kidney, by the way. You have to make a rhyme. This is this is God answering all your prayers. And I remember at that moment just thinking, God uses anybody or anything to speak through people, you know, and there was my aunt telling me exactly everything I questioned God about. And I was just like, oh, you really can't hear me in my head. And I remember just from that moment, and I've never ever doubted God since. And you know what, many people will, and that's okay. And I do it every day. Like, I doubt his choices and his plans, but I don't doubt his existence and his reason for doing it. I don't like everything that God does in my life. I'm not going to lie to you. But I fully trust in what he's doing. There is that saying that, you know, you may not like the chapter you're in, you know, and you don't have to, and it may be a difficult chapter, but fully trust in that who the author is, and that's me. So from my testimony, if I could tell you one thing, if I could give you one thing to go away with, is that it's not easy. It's not an easy path. It's not an easy choice, and don't expect it to be. And at times you'll find it difficult, but that's okay, because you know what? God's kingdom is vast. His family are huge, and his spirit, there's nowhere that his spirit can't get into. I know we're sitting in the middle of a pandemic and we're talking about this virus, but there is nothing as infectious and it can spread as quickly and as easily and as brilliantly as the Holy Spirit. And whatever it is that you're going through, God can help. You may not fully believe it, but even a lot of people I know who don't believe in God and who often challenge me about my beliefs will always turn to God in prayer, and they'll often tell me that God didn't answer their prayer. He does, he just doesn't always answer it in how we want it to. And I know that because 3 years after my dad had the transplant, he passed away. And that wasn't the prayer I asked God for, but it was part of his plan. It's exactly what I said. You don't always have to like the chapter, but you have to fully trust in the author who writes it. And so I'm going to finish tonight and just thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And I just pray that you will not necessarily, if you are questioning about having taken that step or having a relationship with God, that you will not be completely closed off to it, that you will give him a chance, and that you will have somebody come into your life who you feel comfortable enough to maybe have that discussion with further. Thanks for listening. Take care.